In the shadow of Auschwitz's crematorium chimneys, one British soldier discovered a secret that would haunt him forever. He wasn't supposed to be there. Prisoners of war were kept separate from the death camps. But Charles Coward had bribed his way inside, and what he witnessed changed everything. Thousands of Jewish prisoners marched toward the gas chambers daily. The SS guards laughed as they sorted the living from the soon-to-be dead. And Coward, watching from the shadows, made a decision that defied every rule of survival. He would swap the living for the dead. It sounds impossible. Insane, even. Trading identities between breathing prisoners and fresh corpses from the crematorium. Moving Jews out in coffins meant for other men. Bribing Nazi guards with chocolate and cigarettes. Over 400 people would owe their lives to this madman's scheme. This is the story of the body swap trick that fooled Auschwitz. By 1943, the Nazi death machine operated at full capacity. Every day, trains arrived at Auschwitz-Birkenau carrying thousands of Jewish prisoners from across occupied Europe. The selection process took mere seconds. SS doctors pointed left or right. Left meant the gas chambers. Right meant temporary survival through slave labor. The Monowitz labor camp, just miles from the main Auschwitz complex, supplied workers to the massive IG Farben chemical plant. Jewish prisoners toiled until exhaustion claimed them. When they could no longer work, they joined the next selection. The average survival time measured in weeks, not months. British prisoners of war observed this nightmare from a peculiar vantage point. Held in a separate compound under different rules, they received Red Cross parcels, letters from home, and treatment somewhat according to the Geneva Convention. They watched the skeletal figures shuffling past their barracks. They smelled the smoke from the crematorium chimneys. Most looked away. What could they possibly do against such systematic evil? The guards seemed invincible. The system appeared unbreakable. Any resistance meant immediate execution. Jewish prisoners who tried to escape were hunted down and publicly hanged as warnings to others. Yet somewhere in that camp, one British sergeant major refused to accept helplessness. He had survived capture at Calais, multiple escape attempts, and transfers between prison camps. He had learned that every system, no matter how brutal, had weaknesses. The question was whether he had the courage to exploit them. Jack Lucas arrived on the shores of Iwo Jima on D-Day +1. The island was a nightmare of sulfur and ash. The Japanese defenders had dug miles of tunnels into the volcanic rock, turning every hill into a fortress. Within the first hour, Jack realizing that his training hadn't prepared him for the reality of Mount Suribachi. His rifle squad was moving through a ravine when they were pinned down by an interlocking web of fire. The Japanese were virtually invisible, firing from concealed slits in the rock. Jack and 3 of his comrades dove into a shallow trench to catch their breath. Suddenly, the air filled with the sharp metallic tinks of iron hitting stone. 2 Type 97 grenades had been tossed from a tunnel opening just feet above them. They landed in the soft dirt between the 4 Marines. The standard protocol was to roll away or try to kick the grenades back. But there was no space in the narrow trench. If those grenades blew, the whole squad would die instantly. Jack didn't think about his age or his future. He came up with a stupid idea on the spot. He yelled a warning to his team, but instead of diving away, he did the exact opposite. He threw himself forward, grabbing the first grenade and pulling it deep into the soft volcanic sand directly beneath his belly. Then, with his hands, he reached out for the second grenade and pulled it underneath his body as well. He was essentially using his own torso as a sandbag to contain a double explosion. The scheme required meticulous preparation. First, Coward needed allies. He found them among the Jewish kapos, prisoner supervisors who walked a dangerous line between collaboration and resistance. He found them among corrupt SS guards who valued cigarettes more than ideology. He found them among fellow POWs willing to risk everything. The Red Cross parcels became currency. Coffee bought information. Chocolate purchased silence. Cigarettes opened doors that should have remained locked. Coward learned the camp's rhythms, when guards changed shifts, which officers could be bribed, how the selection process worked. He mapped the routes between Monowitz and the main Auschwitz camp, identifying blind spots in surveillance. Then came the darkest part of his plan. He needed bodies, fresh corpses from the crematorium before they were burned, men who had already been counted as dead. Through his network of bribes, Coward arranged access to the dead, paying for each body with precious goods from home. The logistics were nightmarish. Timing had to be perfect. Papers had to match. The living prisoner had to take on the identity of the deceased, complete with matching tattoo numbers when possible. Coward rehearsed every step in his mind. One mistake meant exposure. Exposure meant execution, not just for him, but for everyone in his network. The camp operated on fear and routine. Coward planned to use both against it. Guards rarely questioned what they expected to see. Dead prisoners stayed dead. Living prisoners stayed accounted for, unless someone switched them. The first swap happened in darkness. A Jewish prisoner marked for the next selection crouched in the shadows near the crematorium. Nearby, a body lay wrapped in rough canvas, already logged as disposed. Coward's contacts had prepared the paperwork. The numbers matched. In the chaos of the morning count, the living man took his place among the work details heading to IG Farben. The dead man's number appeared on the selection list. The guards saw what they expected. One more body for the ovens, one less mouth to feed. The prisoner survived. The system never noticed. Emboldened, Coward expanded his operation. He recruited more POWs to help. He found Jewish prisoners willing to coordinate from inside. He identified which SS guards could be trusted to look the other way for the right price. Some swaps used actual corpses. Others exploited the confusion during Allied air raids when prisoners scattered and counts became unreliable. Still others smuggled Jews out disguised as POWs returning from work details. Coward himself entered the main Auschwitz camp multiple times, claiming illness that required treatment at the camp hospital. He witnessed the gas chambers. He saw the crematoria at full operation. He gathered evidence that the outside world refused to believe. Each successful rescue demanded new risks. Guards grew suspicious. The Gestapo investigated irregularities. Coward's network operated on borrowed time, knowing that discovery meant death. Yet they continued. Week after week, swap after swap, life after life. The numbers mounted. Dozens became scores. Scores became hundreds. 400 souls who should have died in the gas chambers walked free because one British soldier decided that chocolate and cigarettes were worth less than human lives. January 1945, the impossible. Overvived because of his body swap. People who should have become ashed out of the camps alive. Continued. Children who should up free. But Coward. He had witnessed the Holocaust, seen the gas chambers operate, smoke, and known exactly what its guards laugh while sorting human. This testimony would prove prosecutors prepared witnesses. They needed death camps, someone whose credit, someone who had no person. They found Charles Coward, the executives of IG company that had built its factories, that had profited from genocide. What happened in the camps next described in clinical detail what he ends. The gas chambers that never stopped, the systems. The court listened. Here was a British soldier describing atrocities that his testimony helped establish the Holocaust. The evil could When liberation finally came in, a changed man. Medal for his wartime service. Few operations remained largely. He rarely spoke of Auschwitz. Painful. The things he had witnessed. In 19 granted Coward one of its highest the Holocaust Memorial. The nations, recognizing knives to save Jewish people during 6 trees were planted in his office. His name joined those who performed extraordinary acts of the password is courage driances. Though Hollywood the real story needed no Coward died in 1970 when he first entered Auschwitz. Sound peace. Some historians, was it really 400? The camps makes precise accounting as remember. Their descendants did that human lives mattered more. Man traded chocolate for proved that even in humanity people could choose light. That fooled Auschwitz remains operations of the Holocaust with a British sergeant who refused. Charles Coward returned to